Hello again, Ian Stuckey with Mastermind Games. Back for more Malifaux, this time Kirai Ankoku from the Resurrectionists faction. Fair-skin 09047. One of the masters. Kirai was a prostitute and gardener that was hired by former Governor General Kitchener to escort his son Francis to a public function. They hit it off. Secretly saw each other for a while, or at least secretly so they thought anyway, and were planning to elope when the Governor General decided enough was enough and sent a goon squad to assassinate her. Unfortunately, Frances took the bullet meant for her, died instantly, and over the course of the next couple of days, full of grief and rage, Kirai's abilities manifested for the first time, and she subconsciously summoned spirits to mutilate and maul the hitmen sent for her life. Shortly after this, and having seen the bodies of her victims, Nicodeme, who was the undertaker for the guild at that time, figured out who when he saw her in the crowd at Francis's funeral, and began training her in the use of Resurrectionist magic in the hopes that once she learned to use her powers a little better, she could in turn teach him how to create improved undead with greater intelligence than what he was capable of. She was instrumental in stopping the initial return of Plague, the Tyrant, and did some work with a group called the Court of Two, which features into the Other Side miniatures game, in creating minions for them to use as mercenaries. And her right foot is going to fight me on the base coating here. And recently returned with new knowledge in an attempt to reanimate or revive Francis. And, well, it did not go well. Just leave that ambiguous, since that is in her fiction in the 3rd edition book. And I am giving her a color scheme that indicates her perpetual mourning. And I am going to let that dry before moving on. I might do a second coat, I might not. Oh boy. And the focus is fighting me worse than ever. I will figure this out eventually. One way or another, I will get this figured out. So let that dry and move on. Alright. Next, Pure Black 09037. I'm going to try something different with black hair, see if it works out. You know, I just realized I need to get another color. I forgot. That's okay. It's easy enough to do. Just realized I forgot another important chapter in Kirai's life. In between, before her attempted resurrection of Francis, her lost love, she fell in and befriended Molly Squidpidge. The two of them, how do I put this, vented their fury upon various pimps, abusers, and other ne'er-do-wells that preyed primarily on women. And even thoroughly demolished a prominent brothel favored by high-ranking officials that was run by a particularly brutal father and son duo. It's a bit of fiction in the 2nd edition. So we're just going to see if this works out how I think it will. This is going to be an experiment again in doing black hair. And now, where is it? Dark Elf Skin 09164. I'm going with a mourner's color scheme, so I have a dark gray here. So the dark gray violet's going to be the main color. using just enough water to thin the paint, keeping the brush moist but not overly wet. Now let's see here. There are certain areas of her outfit I do not want to get this on. I thought that this at first was a fairly conventional kimono, but it's actually split like pant legs down the, once you hit her legs, so it's not quite that. I do want a nice, solid covering of this. Computer's making weird noises again. The blur seems to be okay for now, and I haven't dropped too many frames yet, but I don't exactly have the best setup for physical positioning of my recording and painting sets due to some pretty extreme space limitations I have in my current living situation. Gonna try to get one leg at a time here. Looks pretty good on the clothing. A little bit more right there, about the small of her back. And I'm going to get her shoes in this as well. Real careful here. I want to get the sandals, not her heel. It's got to exercise extreme caution right there. Okay, right there. Alright, let that dry, then I might be able to finish up my base coats. Back in a little bit. Okay. Barely begun. I can already tell the focus is going to fight me. Alright, leather white 09062. Let's start with the straps on her sandals. Real careful, like. Still don't know why I keep whispering when I do things this meticulous, but whatever. It's not really relevant. Okay, now I can loosen up a bit. Again, I'm keeping the brush moist but not overly wet. Just carefully following the trim here. She's got a flower in her hair I'm going to do in the white as well before I forget it's there. Sash around her waist. Let's see here. There's that. There are so many wrinkles in her outfit, it's a little tricky to tell which ones are supposed to be part of the sash. looks like her sleeves have that same trim as well. So we'll go ahead and just pick those out. At least as best I can, because the left sleeve is going to be a little more ambiguous. Again, because of all the wrinkles on it. I think something like that. And antique gold 09050. So when I saw all the detail on her shears, an idea from, I think it's Greek mythology, came to mind of the three fates who measure the lives of mortals with golden thread, which they cut with golden shears, and seemed appropriately symbolic. So we'll do that, as well as her hairpins. Looking pretty good. Now some uniform gray for the base, which is again just a quick custom sculpting. If I can get any of this to come out, there we go. Yeah, this is not the vampire red I've been using a lot of lately, are just about out. Being careful around the shoe. And we'll see how nervous I get when I highlight her with that one tiny little tiptoe of a contact point. Okay. Let that dry completely, then I can start shading. Alright, time to shade. Ancient Bronze 09049. So I'm at a point where there's only so much of this I can do at once now to avoid colors blending together in a way I don't want. Thinning with 1 part water to 1 part paint. And going over the relevant base coat. And Linen White 09061. Again, being real careful on the straps just because they're so tiny. I can loosen up on the rest now. I still don't know why I keep doing this whispering thing, but no, so don't think it matters much at all, really. Okay. Let that dry completely, then I can move on. Okay. And I apparently just had to focus for about 2 seconds before it went bad. Alright. Adamantium Black 09124. This is a metallic black. We'll see what this does as a shade for her hair. So this is an experiment for me. Thinning this out. I have no idea how this is going to go, but we'll just see what happens. I suppose the only thing that matters is if I like this in the end or not. I don't care. I can't say. Alright. Just been through a lot this week. I'm really not good mentally because of it. I just need time. Alright, there we go. There's that. And Dark Elf Shadow 09163. Which is clogged, so paper clip down the nozzle. Going with the darker parts of her kimono. It's gonna get yep, that's what I was afraid of. Yeah, that nice wrinkle in the sleeve. It's soaking up the shade into it, but it's also making that happen. So. And it went up the other way too when I did the shading on the white. And sandals. Okay. Let that dry completely, and then we should be able to finish up with her skin and the base after that. Fairly simple color scheme, but also appropriate, so let that dry completely and move on. Okay. Fair Shadow 09046 to wrap up. Did I? No, that's right. Okay. So. Okay. Just really worn out, been through a lot. So Kirai's current keyword is Urami. And while some of the creatures she was previously associated with have different keywords now, she has most of what can be considered her core group of minions available to work with. Most of which are actually coming up next. Okay. I'm going to go a little thicker on the wrist here where the dark gray got on. And I'm going to be very careful around the legs, especially where the toes come into close contact with the straps of the sandals. I want to make sure I don't get the gray of the base either right now, because I want to do that right now. And Stormy Gray 09088. I still don't know if what I'm trying with her hair is going to work or not, but we'll see. Just see. Again, 1 part water to 1 part paint to thin it out into a wash, and going over the entire thing, letting it flow into those crevices. Especially letting it flow into the crevices. Okay, once that completely dries, I can highlight in detail. So, and we'll see if my experiment with her hair works out. Give me grief on focusing now. Okay, time to highlight in detail. Matte white. Is it? Yeah, it's dry. Some of that gray took a while. Some of the Army Painter colors, they're kind of shiny, which kind of throws me off when it comes to figuring out if they're completely dry or not. And I can't use that brush. What are my other choices? Where are my other brushes? Left it in here. Boy, that's not good. Okay. Same amount of water as base coat. Just carefully dabbing in the eye. Carefully filling in the eyes here. And pure black 09037. Even more carefully, using almost straight paint, I'm just going to dot in some pupils. Make them a little larger because they look kind of bug-eyed. It's a little better. Whoa. Now switching over to the dry brushing technique, I'll start with the skin and fair highlight 09048. Ragged feather brush, something along the lines of that. Straight paint only, no water. Rubbing most of it out on a paper towel till it looks like there's nothing left. And dusting the area to be affected. Yeah, and that connection point is making me real nervous now. Needs a little extra paint here on the hand where that gray got into it. Going against any raised areas like her collarbone there, which is visible. And fingers. And I'm going to get into that pure black again. The 09037. I'm going to see how it works to highlight with this. We'll give it a shot. This is an experiment. Might work, it might not. I don't know, kinda. Might need to try something else next time I do something like this. But Dark Elf Highlight 09165. Working from the lowest point of the model to the highest. In this case, starting with the flesh and moving on to the upper layer of cloth. Let's use you. Going against raised areas, particularly the wrinkles in her clothing. This is making me all kinds of nervous because she's wiggling quite a bit as I do this. I'm just going to try to grip by the model a little more. I'm also focusing on the readily visible areas. So the part of her dress covered up by her arm is just not going to get done. Just a little bit more here. I really want to catch those wrinkles on the lowered extended leg. Ghost White 09063. Just about done. She does have a fairly simple color scheme, but simple can be effective. I mean, when you look at stormtroopers from Star Wars, their color scheme is nothing but black and white, and they make it work very well. Very striking, very memorable. I'm using a little extra paint here on this sleeve where the dark gray got a little out of hand during the shading. Covering that up a bit. A little attention to the straps and the sandals, but not a whole lot. Again, using a little more straight paint on down here where the dark gray got out of hand. Okay. New gold 09051. I'm still not sure if the focus is better or worse. Oh boy, and I just punched out my camera. Oh golly. New goal. Trying to stay kinda in focus, if it'll let me. Kinda working. Let's polish up the hairpins. The bulk of the attention though on her big scissors. And earlier descriptions of her weaponry abilities in the fiction involved summoning not just scissors, but a sort of blades through sheer willpower. But yeah, you see all that scroll work on the blades. That's kind of why I want to do them more special than just plain steel. Misty Gray 09090. No light dusting on the base. I just want to mostly get the edges of each little rough stone there. I'm going to touch up her eyes just a little more because she's looking a bit like Popeye. So just... That's better. And going back into that pure black again, 09037 with a flat head. I think I've got enough. Same amount of water as a base coat, just enough to thin the paint. I'm just going to line the base. Well, not quite enough to do the job. Okay, that just needs to dry, and that's going to be it. Kirai Ankoku in sort of a mourner's color scheme. Oh, come on, focus, please. Come on, give us one. It needs to work. There we go. There we go. Kirai Ankoku in a sort of mourner's color scheme. And moving on with the other half of her soul next. Until next time, I am Ian Stuckey with Mastermind Games, signing out.